Greetings. Our guest today is Bob Quick, President and CEO of Commerce Lexington. In addition to a brief meeting with the Commerce Lexington staff early in my term, I have seen the results of their work by attending many of the formal openings of new businesses. This is not just pie in the sky or grand design, but reality, and the result of excellent work by Commerce Lexington, Bob, and we're really happy that you're here and can spend some time with us. To many of our viewers, Commerce Lexington may be just a name without an identity. Give us a quick description of what Commerce Lexington does and why.
Okay. Well, Commerce Lexington is a private business organization. Many people still call us the Chamber of Commerce. You're going to find that if you go back over our long history, which dates back in hard terms back to 1881, we have on the other side of the hallway here the board chairs, pictures of them. But we've had the name of Chamber of Commerce in our name typically from that point on until 2004, when a new organization was created, the Greater Lexington Chamber of Commerce. Another group called Lexington United were put together. They came up with the name Commerce Lexington, and then a group called the Lexington Partnership for Workforce Development was brought underneath the umbrella because workforce initiatives were very important as well. Since that time, the partnership has a new name called the Business and Education Network. So in 2004, we went through that evolution. But I would also say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, we can now trace our roots back to 1797.
Really?
When Lexington was fledgling and they were trying to bring more workers into Lexington, and an innkeeper pulled together a group of other businesses and they formed the Lexington Immigration Society. And then that name has evolved over the years many, many times, then finally became Chamber of Commerce and now Commerce Lexington. I would break down our priorities really in kind of into two broad areas. One is every day what we focus on is how do we work with businesses to create new dollars. Sometimes it's a retention project where we don't want to lose workers, but we're also spending a lot of time and working as a partner with the city to figure out how do we grow new jobs and create new revenues. So that's one piece of it. The second piece is how do we improve our quality of life, our quality of place. If we're not making Lexington, Central Kentucky more attractive, more competitive, more interesting, bringing new resources, then we're going to miss a lot of those young entrepreneurs who, quite frankly, can locate anywhere in the world and do their business. So we found we are becoming much more attractive, and we have done that. So those are really the two overriding things. Commerce Lexington itself, let me break it down into two groups. The traditional, everything we do, number one, is economic development, everything.
Sure.
But if I break it into two groups, the first group would be the traditional economic development role. It's the expansion of current jobs, current companies. It's the retention of current. It's the recruitment of new. It's the startup, whether it be technologically driven or other type of entrepreneurial startups. It's workforce development related. It's community and minority business type functions. Those, when I say economic development, that's usually what comes to people's minds. But also there's another group within Chamber, and we call kind of the Chamber group, that deals with public policy, leadership development, Leadership Lexington Youth, Leadership Lexington, or Leadership Central Kentucky. But we also have a lot of connectivity type events. Most small businesses need connections. They need new networks. They need new business. So we spend a lot of time doing that. And then we have other initiatives like our leadership trip, where we'll go to a different destination. We've done that for 75 years, maybe we've surpassed that now, but it's the longest one in the nation. And we have the most participants, usually 200 plus community and business leaders go, where we benchmark. And now we have a new international trip. We've been to China and Cuba and last year Vietnam, and we're going to announce a new place in the months ahead. So if you put those two things together, that's what makes up the program of work that ultimately goes back to working with companies to grow new jobs and to new dollars and then quality of place.
Though it's not actually a government entity, Bob.
Correct.
What is Commerce Lexington's relationship with the Urban County government?
We have a good relationship, and that is a very significant thing. Companies do not want to locate in communities where there is where the public and private does not get along. They don't like that. It's very concerning to them. They want to live in a community that seems like it's together and it works together. And we have a good seamless relationship. We plug in anywhere from the mayor's staff, council members like yourself, agencies. So we may have a difficult issue, but it's our responsibility to make sure we articulate that to the right. And again, this case may be agencies or it could be elected officials. And I think we've got to respect there. It's how we deliver the message both ways. Also, I think it's our responsibility, because the city does open up and work with us and really invite us into discussions and meetings, that we also have them plugged into our process. So the mayor, vice mayor, and the chief development officer for the city are plugged into our full board. And then Kevin Atkins is on our executive board as well. That's critical. And so that there's no surprises and that we all can get along and work well together. And we do. But again, let me emphasize that's very important, because companies look at the relationship and they'll talk, an outside company, before it comes here, it'll talk to others within the community and say, what's the relationship?
That's very understandable. Well, go through the process of attracting a business to Lexington. Let's do that. From the time you identify a potential firm to the point you actually sign the deal, so to speak.
Well, there's actually a step before that. We have to know, and we have to know our strategic targets. So you have to know where your economic strengths lie and where you really want to grow your jobs. Otherwise, we're going to be out there kind of going everywhere. And so we, every 5 to 7 years, will have a consultant come in and help us to recalibrate, as I like to call it. And we have targeted areas that we pursue. So once you know those targeted areas, and quite frankly, it's advanced manufacturing, animal and equine sciences, business and professional services, clean technology, life sciences, software and IT, and visitor information. What we then do is we got to figure out, how do we connect in and how do we communicate that Lexington, Central Kentucky, we are in play and we're a good place for someone to locate or to expand. So we have a lot of individual meetings where we go to site consultants all over the United States. And we visit with them and we tell them what our strengths are, why Lexington, why Fayette County, and why the region, why this is a good place for them. And we target companies that we know would be a good fit and that we believe might have expansion interests. We also will go and visit companies, but visit site consultants. And we'll do it not just people from Fayette County, because Kevin Atkins is plugged in with us on that. The mayor may be from time to time. We may have a private sector leader join, but Kimberly and Jenna, they are on the road visiting and building those relationships. We may do it with GLI. We may do it with our counterpart in Northern Kentucky called Northern Kentucky Triad, and where we sell the Commonwealth. You know, the BEAM initiative is a big deal. And it's the Bluegrass Economic Advancement Movement. It's the super region, and we know we need each other. The Commonwealth, we're too small to compete against the globe, separate individual communities, so we've got to pull together. And we do. So we're out in person building relationships and selling. So we also have to have a website with good information, because we don't know a lot of the companies that are wanting to expand or wanting to relocate. But they're going to be out digging information to find out what's the best place in the United States to go. And we do well. Bingham McCutcheon is one of the latest, probably more well-known. They started with hundreds of communities they were pulling information from to figure out where was the best fit. And ultimately, it worked all the way down to 3 communities.
Major coup.
And then they came and visited. Now, typically, a site consultant worked with them out of San Francisco. And it's through that consultant that they start pulling more information. But we didn't know. We knew that they were in the legal area, but that's about all we know. We didn't know their name. We didn't know the individuals' names, their initials, none of that. So you kind of work in a difficult environment, and we just always have to put our best foot forward. Tiffany & Company, we didn't know anything about what their industry was. So you don't know what they're really looking for, other than when they ask you a question, you got to make sure you give them an honest and complete answer. So they pull a lot of information from our website. They'll pull it from our digital sources. But then one day they come, and when they come, we then have to have listened to them to know exactly what answers that they need provided, what questions they have, and then they're going to get a feel for us. And let me tell you, when you fly into Bluegrass Airport, when you see the beauty, when you then meet the people, I'm telling you, we are then really usually very well positioned. And the mayor says it all the time, Lexington sells itself. And I have to tell you, that's what that means, and we do. But then we have a short window of time. We're competing against other cities. We put our best foot forward, but we begin the relationship of trust and interaction, and then we do well. We do well on that.
I believe that. And let me ask you this question, Bob. The mayor has proposed a new mayor's job fund to provide some financial incentives
Yes.
To attract business. And how will this new jobs fund impact on your ability to attract
Significant.
business?
It's very significant.
That's good.
So we, more and more now, when we have clients coming in, site consultant or the company or both, they're asking us, do we have a local incentive? And we do. We have the 1% on the occupational tax, and that's significant. And the state puts in 3%. That is very important. But they're looking at us. More and more communities have that incentive fund. But many more communities are talking about it. We have the fund now. It's flexible, and we can target those companies that we think have a perfect fit here and use that.
I think it's very important.
Yeah.
And we're really pushing it with council. I know your staff is very important to you. You mentioned a couple of your folks. Tell us about some of your key staff and the roles they play, Bob.
Well, a lot of people, when we say we have 7 staff dedicated just to economic development, they'll say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of staff. But we compete against the big metros where they have triple what we have, or larger numbers, where they have deeper pockets than we'll ever imagine. But that's okay. It just makes us a better. Jenna Greathouse leads our economic development effort. She is absolutely terrific. She's been here at Commerce Lexington going on 19 years. She's been in economic development many more years than that. She has the instinct. She has the ability when a client comes in or even on the phone of really getting inside their head to understand what it is they're looking for, and then to really kind of cut to the chase and provide the right kind of information. Kimberly Rossetti is our assistant vice president, and she handles a lot of our big projects, and she also is on the road a lot with site consultants. But we have a research director, we have an existing business person that just calls on 150 companies in town. We also have Billy Peebler, who runs our workforce, the BEN initiative, Tyra and Tyra, who is our minority community and minority business development person. So we have those folks, but we also have the Bluegrass Business Development Partnership. And that's very important too. That's a partnership with LFUCG. We spend a lot of time, Kevin spends a lot of time together, and the University of Kentucky with the Small Business Development Center, Sheree Hawkins, and Warren Nash with the Innovation Commercialization Center. That team, we're all on the second floor. We work together day in, day out. Client comes in, we can hand walk them wherever they need to be to help make sure they get the answers to their questions.
Excellent. I've met those folks, and I agree. They're just super people.
We're very blessed. Also, we have a new face at our front desk, who's our marketing and administrative assistant, Justin Richter. So we have, we just have a lot of good people here.
Bob, obviously business is concerned not only about the business climate, but also about the communities where their employees live and raise their families.
Absolutely.
What is there about Lexington that you tell them about our city that seems to attract these companies?
Well, part of it is we have to, and I said this earlier, and what Jenna and her staff, Kimberly, are great at, you get inside the head and you find out what is it that's important to them. But I have to tell you, when someone flies into Bluegrass Airport and you see the beauty below you, sure. When you arrive and you meet this genuine, friendly atmosphere, and being a transplant here 13 years ago, and I'm grateful for it, it is a genuine friendship that you make, and when you meet folks, it's for life. So when people come here, they like that. They like the safe community. If it's a project that's coming in, central location, high quality of life, quality of place, educated workforce by far is a huge driver. 12,000 higher ed graduates every year. Central location, you can get to the big chunk, 2/3 of the U.S. population within a day. That is very critical. The UPS hub, Worldport in Louisville, they know they can get their product and service around the world very quickly. The ground hub for UPS here, and other hubs that we have with other companies, that's important as well. But educated workforce is something that people look for. But you are immediately put in a trance by what you run into with the people and the scenery.
I can see that. Bob, in conclusion, I just want to say how impressed I've been with the work of Commerce Lexington.
Thank you.
And your staff. And I'd like to thank you and the staff on behalf of the citizens of Lexington. Frankly, we all gain from the work and influence of Commerce Lexington.
Thank you.
And we thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, and I have to tell you, we love our jobs. It's 24/7, 365, and I can't think of a better thing to do, but we really enjoy working with LFUCG, great partner, and we enjoy working with you as well.
There's a real passion here, what we can
There's a
do.
great passion. Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.